continue on with our media availabilities, please. If we can have your attention, we are now joined by William Byron, driver of the number 24 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. We'll start with Jacob Seelman.
Jacob Seelman, Raceface Digital. William, I know it's been talked about extensively. You guys started off really hot, slowed during the summer just like last year. How do you recapture the early season momentum at the start of these playoffs? And maybe how much of the summer was you guys trying things and preparing for what you need in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think we finished second 2.5 weeks ago at Michigan, so I feel like we've been pretty good. Hit or miss, though. Some of those tracks in the summer aren't as good for us as a team, but we've really circled all the playoff tracks and worked really hard to have our best at the end of the year. So, yeah, I think, and once you win 2-3 races early in the season, like I said this week, the goal is to try to stack playoff points. If you can't do that, then the goal is to try to, position yourself well for the fall and all the tracks in the playoffs. So, feel good about that. We've had good success here at Atlanta, although it's can be unpredictable. I feel like as I've studied and watched it back, a lot of times if you're up at the front making good decisions, you can kind of control your destiny here. So I think that's the goal for us. Try to have a good day today, qualifying, try to go out there. Not quite sure what kind of speed we're going to have in qualifying because you want to be able to have enough pace in the pack and everything like that, enough grip, but hopefully we can make the top 10 and go from there.
I'm glad you mentioned the kind of the contrast between the unpredictability and track position handling. How much more do you feel like is in the driver's hands here at Atlanta compared to, I guess, the traditional super speedways at Daytona and Talladega?
Yeah, it's kind of an old school race in a sense, but I mean, I think we've seen it get 2 and 3 wide here, so I feel like as you get down to the end of the race, it's going to be 2 and 3 wide just like it is at any other plate race. Once everybody gets their stuff handling a little better, we just have to see what the offset is from spring to fall here with the track, and it looks a little bit grayer walking in, but you never know until you get out there kind of what the handling is like. And it seems like every time we watch the Xfinity race here, we get a little bit fooled because their package has less downforce, albeit kind of a speedway package, so just not completely sure what to learn from today other than try to go out there and have a good qualifying lap.
Let's go to Steven Toronto.
Steven Toronto, CBS Sports. William, you've been in the playoffs enough times to kind of know how things go here, but this year, obviously, we've got Atlanta to start, then another road course at Watkins Glen, and then another speedway and another road course in the round of 12. Given that change, how much more uncertainty and anxiety do you think there is among the playoff drivers, and how much validity do you think there is to the idea that we could see surprise drivers not advance through this round and even the next round?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be crazy. You've got two super speedways and 2 road courses in the first 2 rounds. So it is crazy. It's going to put an emphasis on being good at those places and being good at road courses, especially because you have 2 of them. It's not just the Roval anymore. So I think for us it's just race by race. Try to show up here and put a good effort in and see what we can get out of this weekend, and then that really dictates the pace for the next weekend. So there are definitely a lot of elements of the first 2 rounds that are pretty unpredictable, but you're going to see the teams that can handle the adversity and work through that really thrive.
And then projecting to 2025, obviously Talladega is going to be in the round of 8 next year. Do you think there is value in having that wild card element pushed that deep into the playoffs and having it be so pervasive that it really could have a huge impact on who makes the championship 4 and who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm not really thinking about next year yet. So really just thinking about Atlanta.
Thanks, William.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go next to Peter Strada.
Peter Strada, TSJ Sports. William, a couple weeks ago at Daytona, you said following the 500 win, you're more relaxed, more confident in that track. Are the Is the mindset the same here, and has that changed at all with this now being a playoff race?
Yeah, I mean, I think we know what it takes to win here for sure, but it just is constantly changing because the track is losing grip. It's changing every time we come back here. The setups are evolving, so we just have to continue to evolve with the new Atlanta that it is. I don't think until we get 8, 9, 10 years down the road will we really know what this place takes and kind of what it evolves into. It could lose a lot of grip over the next 3-4 years and become spread out. So it is different than Daytona for sure. And the way the reasons I felt relaxed there was just because we were coming back there and had won a big race.
Let's go to Lee Spencer.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR and CatchFence.com. Curious, what was the game changer for you at the Glen last year that allowed you to go on to win that race?
Yeah, I feel like it started 2 years before that when we had a test there, and we tested in 2022 with the next gen, had a really good 2-day test, really kind of contributed a lot of the setup items for the company there, and built a good baseline. Unfortunately, we didn't have a good weekend that weekend. I think we had a battery issue. We qualified 4th and had to start in the back, and we didn't quite have our balance the way we needed to get through traffic. And so we didn't have a great weekend. But I feel like that is where it started. I had the Xfinity race that year in 22 as well. And then coming back in 23, I just felt like I was well prepared, knew the place, knew what we needed to focus on. And fortunately, kind of that baseline setup we built had good benefits. When we unloaded it in 23, we were really fast off the truck. And then I think it really, in the race, we were a top 3 car. It just was about trying to get out front and have good pit sequences under green.
Yeah, you qualified second. I'm curious, how much will the pits come into play there at the Glen?
Oh, it's going to be huge. I mean, if you pass 1 or 2 cars a run, that's a really good run at Watkins Glen in the next gen. So it's going to be huge. Strategy is going to be big, and you're just going to have to do a good job in qualifying to put yourself on the offensive side. Where you're ahead of everyone else, and if you can qualify in the top 5 or 6, you put yourself in a really good spot. Mm-hmm.
Any additional questions for William? Okay.
Hey, William, Mike Rigg with Race Week. Can you kind of walk us through how you prepare mentally for a race, and is it different mentally coming to a track like this as opposed to like a road race?
Yeah, it's a little different. I mean, the stress of what you can't control is a little bit higher at a place like this, so you try to put that away, set that aside. I feel like when you go to a place like here, you're preparing for what moves you need to make, and you're also just making sure that you're doing a good job, executing the little things. Like when we go out here to qualify, making sure I'm getting through the shift points good, getting off pit road well. And then there's a lot of detail here with the pit road, changing speed under green and under caution. So you're thinking about how do I maximize my, green flag rolling time, yellow flag rolling time. And then, it's just different. There's probably not as much for Atlanta really, but then Watkins Glen, there's a lot of physical prep, a lot of mental prep, and it's a tough place. I'm running double duty next week, so I'll have a lot of laps and try to really take good notes and understand the track because there's a lot of changes at Watkins Glen with the curbing.
Okay. William Roy Akers, Skyview Sports. Is there any advantage to kind of staying back in the pack a little bit early on to see how things are developing in the race, or you want to race up front the whole time?
Yeah, a lot of the wrecks happen in the middle, and so if you're in the back, you're in a bad spot. But yeah, if you're gonna ride, like let's say you're like really trying to avoid a wreck, you're gonna get way back. But no, I don't think not here because track position is important and handling matters, and it takes a long time to get back to the front. So you're gonna spend most of your time up here or in this race at the front if you can, and then if you can't, you might try to save fuel and jump the strategy. Mm-hmm.
Any final questions? All right, William, thanks
Cool.
for stopping in.
Thank you.
right. There's the checkered flag. Great job, driver.